United We Will Grow podcast. We are so happy that y'all are here. And again, this podcast is about reflecting, refocusing, and revitalizing Gamma Alpha Omega. I'm your host, Kay Short, and as you all know, I crossed in spring 2010, the new class at the Omicron chapter. And I'm so happy to be here with my co-host, Candace Sanchez.
Hello, everybody. Candace Sanchez here, Everlasting Epsilon chapter. I crossed fall 2005. Yes, I'm an old one. Mu class. My ship name was In Still I Rise, Candace Phoenix Sanchez, and I'm so proud to be one of your co-hosts here, one of your hosts on the United We Will Grow podcast, and very excited to introduce our amazing sisters that are here today. So I get the privilege and honor of introducing our first sister, Lizette Martinez. So I'm going to go right into the introductions here. Lizette was born in South Carolina to military parents. Lizette's world has consisted of a wonderful mixture of north, south, east, and west. The extraordinary sights of her childhood enhanced her passion for photography and her love for learning about people and their cultures. It wasn't until going to college and being introduced to Gamma Alpha Omega did she know she was destined to build organizations from the ground or bottom up. Along with her line sister and sidekick, Sandra Torres, you will never see one without the other. She crossed Gamma in the spring of 2007 and as the only two actives left at Delta chapter. After increasing their membership by 22%, Lisette graduated from the Washington State University with a bachelor's in business management with an emphasis on social science. She now works with Microsoft's Military Affairs, a startup department aimed to educate transitioning service members and veterans in IT, while assisting them to obtain IT careers. She also runs two small businesses with her line sister Sandra, one in photography and videography, and the other an e-commerce clothing store geared towards organizations in both NALFO and NAPA. She continued her commitment to Gamma by becoming an alumni advisor for both Delta chapter and Gamma chapter at the University of Washington. Then took it to the national level where she was vice president of parliamentary procedures. She has now taken it back to her chapter to be the lead chair of their newly created alumni event committee. The oldest of three girls, but the youngest at heart, family means everything to her. Honor, loyalty, and dedication is her life's motto, and she feels that there is always opportunity for growth and empowerment around every corner. So welcome, Lisette, to the show. Yay! Great bio, girl. Very impressive. Yes, I love it. Love it.
Sorry, it was a bit lengthy, but
Oh, no, we need to let our sisters know who we have on the show. So, no, it was beautiful. Thank you for sharing all of that wonderful information about your background. So I'll turn it over to Kay Short to introduce our next guest, our next sister here.
Yes, y'all. I get to introduce Sandra Simpatica Torres. She's alumna of Gamma Alpha Omega from the Delta chapter, also at Washington State University. She crossed in spring 2007 in the Inextinguishable Xi class and graduated in 2009 with a BA in Human Development and an emphasis on early childhood education. She's currently a preschool teacher in Mount Vernon, Washington for Skagit Valley College. She's also the current marketing chair for our alumni event committee at Delta chapter. She was recently appointed the Northwest Collegiate Regional Director. Congratulations on that. And the biggest accomplishment she has right now is owning two businesses with her line sister, Simply Luminous Photography and SL Creations. In her spare time, she loves to read books and listen to podcasts while also being on hours and creating art. So let's go ahead and give it up for Sandra.
Yay, Sandra. Yay, Lisette.
All right, y'all. Yeah. So we're so excited to have you here. We're going to have you say hi to everybody, but I wanted to just give a little bit of background how we even met y'all in the first place. I know we've met a little bit in the past at a nationals, but we wanted to bring these particular sisters to all of you and all of our listeners because they just have such a great sisterhood story. They, as you heard in the bio, they've met when they joined the organization and now they're in business with each other. And it looks like life is forever, happily ever after is what it sounds like so far. And so I'm just so excited to get to know these two and how they just are creating such a great example of what sisterhood looks like and being a part of this amazing organization. So let's jump into it. Go ahead. Say hi to them, y'all.
What's up? What's up? What's up? How's it going?
All right. Candace, start us off with them.
Yeah, so sisters, I had the privilege. I've met Lisette before. I think we've met at nationals before.
Hmm.
Became Facebook friends. I have followed you, and I'm you're just so dynamic. And then just to know that you're also in IT just brings joy to my heart because I'm also in IT. So it's just
Nice.
representing, right?
Hmm.
Representation matters. And then Sandra, I met you. I think I met you more closely at this last national convention, and seeing you two sisters work. I mean, we were all setting up for our vendor booth, and I was just like checking out all the gear, and I'm like, oh my God, look at these sisters, look at all this stuff. And I mean, that's just the beauty of why, joining the sisterhood when you really step out of your comfort zone and you really meet other sisters and you talk to other sisters, you just form that bond. And so I just appreciated meeting you guys again in person. The pandemic's taught us anything. It's just that personal connection, and I just value that. So I'm just so grateful that you both are here to share your sisterhood story. So yeah, so just give us a little bit of, like, for one of you can start. Lizette, you'll start first, and then Sandra will go next. But just the whole why you became a sister and what's Gamma really done in your life. I mean, it's obvious based on the story that you guys share, but just tell us a little bit about that, and then that connection point and how it stayed to be this happily ever after, because not everybody has that story, so I want to really shine a light on that. We want to shine a light on that.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, no problem. I guess my story pretty much starts kind of like yours, Candace. I was a late bloomer. I went to college when I was 28, and honestly, I really wasn't thinking about joining a sorority, but my younger sister, Marquita, is actually a member as well. So it's funny how usually it's the older one and then the younger one follows the older one, but it flipped on us. So she's my middle sister, and she is also a sister as well. Um, but I saw what it did for her as far as bringing out more of a leader in her. And having already been in the workplace, I knew that I really wanted to build up that leadership profile. Um, Little did I know I would gain the sisterhood as well. Finding Sandra when when we finally started the process to joining. At first, I didn't know any of the girls, didn't know Sandra either. And I felt like it was really going to be a little more difficult for me because I was older than a lot of the other girls. But for some reason, me and Sandra just clicked. I don't know what it was. We really clicked. And yeah, we kind of, when we ended up crossing into the organization and realizing it was just us two left in the whole chapter, I feel like that kind of really solidified our sisterhood together. Um, yeah, and then just from there, we've been butt cheeks.
I love it.
And any event somebody invites me to, I'm like, Sandra's coming, whether she likes it or not. So it's just been like that ever since. And I've kind of dragged her into a lot of like I dragged her into doing the photography with me, even though she's not very much of an outgoing. She's an outgoing person, but she's not an outgoing person. So I dragged her into that business with me, and she just bloomed creatively. And then we started the SNL creations just to off of most of her artwork.
Mm.
So yeah, so she's
That's
with me whether she likes it or not.
that's so cool. That's so cool. I would love to hear, Sandra, obviously more about your background and how you got to Washington State, right?
Mhm.
And then your experience of like getting into Gamma. And then I would love for you to just do your first connection point. Was it at an recruitment event? Did you all fall into a conversation and then it just like happened that way? And then also I'm just curious because you said, Lisette, you're a little bit older. So I'm Sandra, I'm like thinking, I'm not sure if you're 20 or something like that. And just kind of just bring us back to that time as undergrads, at the university and getting recruited into this organization.
Actually, I almost didn't go to WSU. I have a very not strict dad, but I was the first one to go to college, so he was just like you can't go to a 4 year, 3 hours away. You have to stay here. There's there's a community college right here around the corner. But I actually got a full ride scholarship through Bill Gates, and
Wow.
my high school was one of 16 that got a scholarship from this Bill Gates Foundation. And shout out to College Success Foundation out there. um, so I always wanted to go to WSU. I was an FFA in high school, and my FFA person would take us to WSU. I went to WSU. I didn't really, when I got there, I got accepted. I didn't really, I had friends that I had been with, and we kind of fell out, but I kind of stayed with some other friends from back home. And I say all of this just to kind of prep you of how how I got into Gamma. So after a while, I started feeling like I needed to do something for myself, something that would help me also grow and kind of lose that, because I am pretty shy. I'm not as outgoing as Lisette, so I am pretty shy. It takes a little bit for me to kind of put myself out there. And I constantly go back to actually my, who would later become my big. She was the first Latina person I met on this. There's these famous steps at WSU, and she's the first person that came up to me. Her and her cousin, who also became a Gamma. She came up to me so excited, like, "Hey, my name's Patty, and welcome!" And just like total stranger, and me being shy, I was like, "Oh, hey, how's it going? What the heck?" And I constantly saw her, and I never was as interested of joining a sorority either because I was a little bit shy. And so I also didn't join until about my junior year at WSU. And fun story, I didn't go to any of the recruitment events ever, so I never got to see Lisette. I didn't know who she was until the day we until the day we actually like got
Were
initiated.
introduced, yeah.
Yeah, so
What?
it was like that's the first time we met ever, so that's kind of
Mhm.
funny that we never met any time before. Um, so yeah, so I met her. I mean, I guess I never really saw her as older. I mean, it was, at the time in college, you kind of think, oh man, like a few years older than you is older, but we all kind of clicked. We all kind of had, a special relationship. But I believe she is right in that after being the only two active members in the house, it kind of helped to kind of put us together and have to work together and kind of bond. There were other members that were there, but they were like studying abroad, so it was
Mm.
harder to bond with them. Um, so yeah, I don't know what else, but that's my weird story.
That's not a weird story.
My
That's an
weird.
amazing story. I mean, okay, so let me just call out a few things because when you said you got a full ride on the Bill Gates Foundation, that whole scholarship, I mean, that's huge. I mean,
Thank
sisters need
you.
to know that. That is a big win, a big celebration, right? Like it's possible to do that. And the fact that, you're shy, I would call it reserved. I don't even call it shy, shy. Like you're just reserved. You're just kind of like, when I think about extroverts or introverts, and that's probably why you guys are the yin to your yang. Like it just works because you're like complete opposite, but like you guys are probably on the same wavelength. Or I think about like people that have like an older soul, right? Like you might have that old soul that we're drawn to Lizette and that energy that she brings. And, kudos to your big for like being open and just, saying hello. Cause, if she
Yeah,
would
for
have done
sure.
that or been open, you might have not even been in the organization. So and again, I think too, like it tells a lot about when you said you waited till your junior year. Like, you wanted to
Yeah.
make sure you found the right fit. A lot of people who are reserved want to make good decisions, business decisions for themselves. So I think I would call it divine design. That's a word that I use a lot, but it was all meant to be. And I'm just
Yes,
so
for
glad
Truly
sure.
was.
that it brought you two together. Like, what a great story.
Yeah.
What does FFA mean though? When you said that the FFA would come to the campus, or what does that acronym mean? Because I was like, I don't know what that is.
Okay, so I went to an all Latina, well, Latino, like 98%. I'm from a small town. My graduating class is 25, so there's a lot of Hispanic. FFA is Future Farmers of America, so you don't see a lot of Hispanic
Mhm.
students. Um, so Future Farmers of America. I did more of the public speaking, also trying to be a little bit more outgoing. Um, Part of that, I didn't raise animals or anything, but yeah, Future Farmers of
Wow.
Wow.
America.
That, I
Wow.
mean, but still, plugging that is very a key to like your story, the history that you bring, and how you arrived to this point. I think that's great. Thank you, Sandra, for sharing. And
Cool.
Lizette, wow, dynamic duo right here. I'm telling you,
I
pretty
know.
amazing.
And I have to hear about when you all got initiated and you crossed. I have to just hear more about the story about it just being the two of you, because I know that's a story that happened over at my chapter Omicron too. We had Najoni and Alex. It was just the two of them. And I'm sure that's happened at plenty of other chapters. And so I just want to shed light on sisters who are, I can only imagine that experience, but just having this belief and passion for an organization to take on, what is being asked of you, and to continue to have this space to continue to exist in spaces that it's probably not supposed to, and just having further conversations about the importance of doing the work so that space exists for future sisters. So tell us more about what it was like to cross, and just like, obviously you said that brought you all closer together, but also just how you all managed that, and the things that you learned in that process about the organization and about each other.
Oy vey. Um, how do we say this nicely? No,
Yeah, but it's to like be
it,
encouragement to sisters who are
yeah,
who have gone through that or might have to go through that soon, but it could
yeah,
be done.
yeah. I think for us it really didn't quite set in till after our first couple of meetings when we realized, oh crap, we got a lot of requirements that we have to fill, and it's just the two of us. And not only, and then on top of that, Sandra was working pretty much full time. So she's going to school full time and working full time. And so it was it was a lot. To us, it was a lot. And there were, even in the beginning, there were a lot of times where I was like, man, this is, I'm here for my education. I'm not here to do all this extra stuff. I really can't do this. I should just drop. I should drop. But at the same time, I have to say one of my sins is definitely pride, and I just I just couldn't let something, because I was named president, and so I'm like, I can't let this die on my reign. It would not look good. It would not look good. I'm trying to build that good resume. I don't need to be like failed, failed, you know? So, so I took it as a
Mhm.
challenge. I'm like, you know what? Challenge accepted. Let's do this. And
Mm.
surprisingly, Sandra stuck around and helped me through it. There were a lot of moments when we wanted to kill each other. Um, a lot, a lot. And to top it off, we ended up moving into an apartment together. So that was like extra cherry on the cake. Um, but
And
yeah, it was. Oh, sorry.
We're good roommates.
We were.
But I mean, that just says a lot for like your commitment and your
Mhm.
dedication. I mean, and your support system. Like, if you guys are doing this as two people for an org, yes, all the requirements, working full time, just having that time management, pushing the envelope, and again, testimony. We don't want to
Mhm.
hear no excuses are the building blocks to what? Like
Not.
for real, you guys have done that and then some. And so, like,
Mhm.
when we know chapters are dormant or struggling or trying to come back, two people, if they're mighty enough and strong enough and willed enough, they're going to just make it happen, right? But I
Mhm.
Mhm.
think it takes a lot from coming from the inside, right? That they're just, it's something that you just have, and I
Mhm.
just commend the both of you for just being that support and making sure that Gamma stuck. I mean,
Mhm.
that says a lot. So, congrats. Way to
Yeah.
do that thing. Yes.
I can't help but want to ask, you've all done, it's like over 2015, sorry. It's only been 5 years you've had your friendship. Sorry, I said some random numbers out there. But I want to know if there was a moment when you all knew, like, oh, this is like for real. This is for life. Like, what really solidified your sisterhood? Was it a hard conversation? Was it a fight? Someone left the fork in, the wrong place. As roommates, I'm curious. Do you all remember the moment when you're like, okay, like she's for real, like ride or die sister. This is the real deal.
I think for me, it was pretty hard being a neo and being new and not knowing positions. I think for me, just having that support kind of felt like it was for real. It was, but also being roommates kind of helped. Knowing that she's there, because Lisette will do anything for everybody. She'll do, everybody knows Lisette. Everybody knows who she is on campus. She'll do she'll do everything for everybody. You ask her to give you her fork, she will. So just having her as that support system, just being the yin to my yang, kind of helped solidify the, we're here forever. Her being able to, um, like support my quirks, my little quirks, my little weird things I have, that kind of helped. And just being together in like a hard part of our lives. I know, you'll often hear us say that it was hard. It was a tough time during those few years before we even crossed the line. Um, I think that helped solidify the relationship.
I
I don't
think
know about
for
Lisette.
I, I think for me, mine goes a little bit like childhood deeper. Um, Mostly because being a military brat and having to move around a lot. I've, fun fact, lived in every single state except for North and South Dakota and Alaska. So yeah, making friends was hard. Making friends was hard, and it truly didn't really. I think for me, when I got to college and I found Sandra, and she was able to stick with me through the whole rebuilding process, it just I clung to her and was like, "You're my friend forever.
I'm never letting you
You're
go.
never
Oh.
going away." Yeah, I mean, I tell her all the time. I tell her all the time. I'm like, if I move, you're coming with me. It's just how it is, you know. Um, so yeah, I don't even give her a choice. So yeah, pretty
But
much I
I
love
just
that.
think that it's just the magic works, right? You guys
It
have
does.
found
Yeah.
the
It
formula.
does.
You found the
Mhm.
formula of success in whatever way, shape, or form. In this form, it was our sisterhood that brought you
Mhm.
guys together. And I think being in business for yourselves, being owners, and then just going through life. I think, we've talked about this as a lifelong sisterhood
Mm.
if you want it, right? What you
Mhm.
make of it, what you put in is what you're going to get out. And you guys have put it in and you're getting something out of it, and life is hard experiences you go through, right? And you guys don't have
Mhm.
to do that alone. And to know that you can lean on each other, I think that says that's awesome to have that. And
Yeah.
again, not everybody has it, but when you find it, you don't want to let it go. It's precious. So, yeah,
Yeah, thank
amazing.
you.
I love it.
I do
I
want to
can
say
hear.
though that,
Yeah,
sorry,
go
I
ahead.
was gonna
No,
say,
go
I do
ahead.
want to say that, even though during our few years we were kind of not really scared, but just kind of afraid to ask for help. I guess that's another thing I want to talk about is like, especially the newer classes nowadays where they don't want to ask for help. We really did, after a while, got brave enough to ask for help from alumni. And so I just want to shout them out because, after a few years when alumni didn't know what was happening by our fault, not telling, keeping it to ourselves, and not wanting to see them see us fail. And so we finally brought it up to them and we're like, hey, this is what's going on, I'm gonna graduate here soon and Lisette's gonna be left alone. And so we need your help. We need your assistance. And just, calling out alumni that helped us, like they stepped up in a big way and they came and they helped us. And after I think it was like two tries, a PA class, um, finally we were able to cross a line of seven. I was gonna say eight, but it was seven. So that really helped us to. I just wanted to shout that out, not to forget that,
Yeah.
alum did
Yeah.
help us along our journey after a while, after we opened up.
Yeah. Very true, very true. We did reach out, we definitely used our alumni as best as possible because as soon as we realized this is too much, we had several alums step up. Meredith stepped up and Veronica, our founders, they showed up and helped us out with a lot of the marketing plan to be able to put out to recruit and yeah, and Karina She was local, so she would come to our meetings to help us figure out how to run our meetings and helped us with community service and stuff like that. So we made sure that we met our requirements. Um, but yeah, it was definitely got a shout out to them as well.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
that's amazing that you can, you can pay homage, right? Give thanks,
Mhm.
attitude of gratitude is what I say. So, the fact that you guys have shared your story about Gamma, how you got connected, your backgrounds, your career path really has kind of led you to this point. We've shared a little bit about that. Um, your relationship with sisterhood and how it's kind of developed over time and how it's been sustainable is because of just the business aspect. So, can we talk a little bit about just the career path and your journey of life? And, based on, I know Gamma probably has a lot to do with how you guys have landed your positions or landed your path. So, can we talk a little bit about just the workforce part, right? Your career. So I know Sandra, Microsoft, huge IT shop, right? I mean, guys, competitors to Google, right? So I want you to shine a light on that and how you navigated or how'd you know IT was it for you? I mean, I'm sure military maybe had something to do with it, but then Sandra, besides the business and entrepreneurship that you guys have, what are you doing and college and how did Gamma shape you for that? So just really talking about the Gamma and how it shaped you into the career path that you have today.
You want to go first, Lisette?
Sure. So
She's one and I'm a two.
yeah, I won by a close call. Close call. We were shifted around quite a bit trying to figure out who was one and two, but it works out.
Wink, wink.
Um, for me, I'd have to say I did float around a little bit. I did realize that working with Gamma, and having to rebuild our chapter just a little bit, I loved working with the policies and procedures and the rules and regulations and stuff like that. So logistically, I was like, okay, I need to find something to where I'm uh, building something from the ground up, something I just need to form something. So for a long time, I knew I wanted to own my own business, something that I could run and grow. I ended up with Microsoft, mostly because following my mother, she is actually the reason we originally lived in Texas, and Microsoft moved us up here to Washington State for to bring her to work there. But IT has kind of ran in our family for the longest time. So I've always loved the company, always loved the company. So I've been through a few departments. I started off with AINR, was its artificial intelligence and research. It was such a fun department just because we got to see a lot of people come up with some creative artificial intelligent products, which unfortunately some have not come out into market, but it was still really cool to see. Um, and then I ended up into military affairs, mostly just because I saw what they were starting to do. Military affairs is, I say it's a start, it's still kind of a startup because the department originated in 2005. So it's very relatively new. And at first, they were only working with like small military branches on the East Coast and, of course, here in Washington. Um, but now that, thanks to COVID, we've gone virtual, so we've expanded across the globe and are now doing Europe and uh, Asia Pacific, which is Australia mostly. So I saw what they were doing, where they were trying to create an educational program to bring to transitioning service members, because the hugest issue right now with vets is that they do their service, they're told what to do from morning to night, they have a routine set for them. They don't, I hate to say they don't have to think, but pretty much they just run to however they're told to do. And then when their service ends, they're like, go and live in the world. And then they're not given any guidance as to, well, how do I do that? How do I get a job? How do I, what do I even know what I want to be in? Um, and so we created a program to where we kind of help them transition in the IT world from the military into civilian life. And so far, we've had a 97% graduation rate into careers with over a thousand, I think it is at the moment, 1,000 different companies. And we're talking Fortune 500 companies on top of that. So
That's important work. That
it,
is so
it really
important.
is. It really is. Because I feel like vets are just left out to dry, you know, and they don't get as much resources as they should. And so I really love being a part of that and building this whole department.
And I think it speaks to like our sisterhood, right? With service being at the core, one of the core
Yep.
values of service-based organization. You know, military is a service, right? You serve your country, and then you're helping to service these veterans to then get into civilian life so they're successful. And I think that's
Yes.
another service you're providing. So, wow, that's amazing. Oh my gosh,
Yeah.
so excited to learn more. Girl, you got all these layers, and I'm just learning about all the layers. You're just peeling them all off. I love it. Awesome. Sandra, excited to hear your story.
Wait a second.
Well,
Oh,
Can I say
wait.
something
Keisha's
really
got to
quick?
chime in. My bad. Go ahead, sister.
I did a little bit of Google researching because I was like, wait a second. Did Sandra say that she got the Bill Gates scholarship? And isn't Bill Gates the dude of Microsoft? And isn't
He
this?
is.
Did we ever put those two together? Or if this is not
No, we
divine,
haven't.
I don't know what is. That's just a little. I literally had to Google. I was like, I got to make sure I don't say Steve Jobs or Bill Gates. But it was
That's
Bill
so
Gates.
funny. It was
How
Okay.
crazy is that?
That is crazy.
Anyways,
it's
just thought
crazy.
I would throw that out
I
there.
love you throwing that
Good
out there.
point. Good point.
It's a great point.
I love the internet, but I do, before we jump off, Lisette, I would love for you to talk a little bit more about AI later on, though, because I know I've been teaching a little bit with Candace, but you said you got a little bit of an insight than we do, us civilians. I would love to hear more about
She
some
might have
AI
had to
stuff.
sign a non-disclosure agreement where she can't tell us the
Oh,
consumer facing. I mean, if
Yeah,
I know how IT works, that's one of the things. So, just
yeah.
saying.
well, you think
Unfortunately,
about what
that's
you can tell us. Just a little bit,
okay.
maybe just a little
Okay.
bit.
Okay.
Okay, think about it.
I'll work on that. I'll work on that.
Okay, all right.
Awesome.
Sandra. Go ahead,
For
Sandra.
me, I think I always wanted to be a teacher. I know when my parents are farm workers, and of course I went to a all Latino school, and I wanted to be somebody because I speak Spanish and English, and I wanted to help families and children who speak my language. Um, with Gamma, what Gamma really taught me was how to really work with people, different personalities, and how not to take things personal. I see a lot of that in my workplace. Unfortunately, we get a lot of burnout. We get a lot of like, especially in my field, because we're very underpaid, very. And so you get a lot of burnout. You get a lot of like just petty things. And so I think with me, what Gamma really taught me, and I always say this, like my sorority really taught me how to work with people, how to, run a business, how to run a meeting, and just being professional. I don't think I would be as outspoken at work if it wasn't for Gamma. I think, um, yeah, there's just people out there that take things personally, can't take constructive criticism, and just you guys know, being in a sorority, different personalities, especially when we brought in the newer house, younger than us, just butting heads, different things, but just learning not to take things personal, um and always having an open mind, especially when new things arise. And I'm still learning. I mean, there's a lot of new things popping up nowadays, and just trying to explain to others, like, this is how this generation works. So you have to cater to how the younger generation is working. So and that helps me in my job. I am a preschool teacher. I teach 3 to 5 year olds, so that's fun in itself. But I also get to work with families, and helping. I work for a Head Start through Skagit Valley College. It's Skagit. I know a lot of people say Skagit. Washington has a lot of, no, you should try to pronounce Washington's city names. It's the funniest thing ever. Um, but through the college, I'm able to work through a Head Start and just helping families, low income families, and yeah, that's pretty much all I do day to day.
I,
Right now,
I,
I'm on a
I,
summer break.
I would say you do more than that, man, because just some of the stories that she tells me, I'm just like, I would have killed the kid. I would have killed the kid. I'm surprised he's still alive. Good for you. Good for
They
you.
have to sign an NDA. Just
I
kidding.
You little 3-year-old, sign the NDA now. Just kidding. No, we don't hurt children here.
know. I
Um,
know.
I always like to
Okay.
say that I have 17 children and I get to, rent them for the day and then just hand them off to their parents at the end of the day and then we're good.
Yeah, I totally makes sense. I love that. Tell us, okay, so now you have two full-blown careers, but tell us how the two businesses came about and how has that been building something from the ground up together?
Well, to be honest, I originally started the photography business myself because photography is one of my biggest passions. I love doing photography, always has. For like half of my life.
Always have a
And
camera in our hand.
yeah, always got a camera in my hand. Actually, I met you, K Short, at the Seattle Nationals. You walked up to me. I had my camera in my hand. You walked up to me and was like, "Hey, how does the flash work? I mean, what kind of flash is that? I mean, how do you position it? I mean, do you like make it brighter or darker? What's the difference?" And I was like, "Okay, well, let me tell you." Um, but no, I originally started the photography business mostly working with an ex-partner. We did a lot of nightlife events, and so I was out up in the clubs, but I was getting paid for it, so couldn't complain. Um, and I started getting more requests. People were like, "Hey, we got a club over here. We need more people, or we would love for you to photograph. We got a club over here. We'd love you to photograph." So I was like, "Hey, Sandra, want to come join me?" And of course, at first she's like, "I don't know how to work a camera," and I'm like, "I'll just set it up for you. You just point and shoot." So I did, and she did. And we ended up becoming partners working in the nightclubs for a hot while. And then she started helping me do wedding events and quinceañeras. And then she started doing events on her own. I mean, she'd text me and be like, "Hey, I just got a quinceañera over here." And I'm like, "Oh, hey, go for it. It's all you. Do it. Do it, girl." Um, so we still do it. We still do the photography. We're not so much up in the clubs anymore because, my back and my hips, they just don't drop it like it's hot anymore.
That's how you get those good shots. I knew it.
I
I was
know,
like, there's
yeah,
something
yeah. You
different
you
about
drop
this.
it, come under, and yep, I'm telling you, you got everybody. It makes it look so much bigger with everybody's hands in the air. You come down low. Um,
Wow.
I wouldn't be able to
but
get up. I might fall backwards.
that's what I'm
You get
saying,
some
girl.
good
That's
under shots.
that's why we retired because I went
Mm.
down and couldn't get back up again. Um, But no, we still do other events now here and there when it calls. But now our second business, it was kind of more of um, kind of in conversation. We were both working on our Delta chapter reunion, and we realized that we didn't have any gear. At least we did not have anything updated because like our stuff is back from 2007 and I don't fit in that anymore. So we're both like, man, we got nothing. We got nothing. And then, you try and look online and there are some licensed vendors, but they don't show you anything. So it's like I see all these panhellenic, I can never say the word right. These panhellenic, Greek letters, Greek shirts, and I hate to say a lot of white girls, you know, and it's not appealing. So we're like, we need to create something for us. We need to create something that shows our letters, that shows girls who look like us, that shows um, something, and to get more variety. We need jackets, shirts, sweaters, leggings. I don't know. Bags. So I was like, I need more gear, but I just don't know where to go. So um, me and her just started talking. We're like, let's just start our own store. Let's just start our own store. And so we figured out how to come up with the products. And thanks to okay, the one thing I want to say about Sandra, her top best quality is research. If you need to find something on somebody, she is the person to find it for you. I mean, the CIA has got nothing on this girl when it comes to looking up research. So,
Oh my gosh.
I would. Good to know if anyone dating Sandra, y'all just better watch out. She's
yeah,
lurking.
no, she will
Hey,
have
who
your
need
government background, and you won't
who
even know
need
how.
I was gonna say, who needs CCAP when you got Sandra?
Exactly.
No, I
Exactly.
want to say, I think we even started before. We started thinking about doing another business way before, just using artwork and doing that. Um, Gamma Gear did come a little bit after, but it just Lisette again trying to give and be, her best self. She wants to help me in any way, and me not working in the summers gets really tough, and so just trying to find different ways of being living, because nowadays people don't make a living wage, and um I mean, there's other reasons why I cannot work during the summers, and it's it's just something that she does. Like, here, let's see how we can help each other. And so, me being the artistic one, but she's pretty creative too. She knows Photoshop and how to do all that graphic art design, and I'm more of just like, give me a pencil and a paper and I'll draw. But she's more into that AI stuff that I don't know how to do. So I just want to shout out that conversation started a little bit before even our reunion. It just started turning into Gamma Gear a little bit after, and then hopefully eventually we'll get into other organizations and doing that. But
Mhm.
yeah, I
Love
just
that.
wanted to shout that out.
Love that. I would love to take a quick moment because I think I'm up and coming, but we have all the entrepreneurs in the room. I would just love to highlight, because that's something that we don't talk about. A lot of us know each other because we went to college, we joined the organization, we're going to chart on this path, but entrepreneurship to some extent, do you need a degree? I don't know. But I would just love to highlight for other sisters that are wanting to be entrepreneurs in the organization, just being women entrepreneurs, women of color entrepreneurs, and just, yeah, I just want to shed light on just having a dialogue of that journey and that path thus far, and of course with Candace too, so I'd love to just shed a little bit of light on that. What made you all, including yourself, Candace, like want to pursue entrepreneurship? um yeah, let's start there. I'm curious. I'm also just want some wisdom as someone who's kind
Yeah,
of starting something. I'm
I
gonna use my
yeah.
mastermind money right now. Put that down.
I think for me, I was a young mom with two daughters, and so yeah, you make small amounts of money, and you need an extra, for this or that. I wanted to provide the girls with the best possible, and so that was my reason for wanting to do entrepreneurship. So I first started selling Mary Kay, then I used to do home interiors, then I used to sell nutritional products, and then wrote the book, do the podcast, do speaking engagements, and now sell my own gear as part of my whole package, right? So it's like I kind of knew I had that entrepreneur spirit way back when, but it really formed into my fledged business after I came out with my book. So to me, I think it's important. Do I think a degree is helpful still? Yes, I still promote education, higher learning, because you still need that piece of paper. Say and business will fail, but you just got to get back up. And I just think that I'm building for me my retirement, it's my, I hate to say it, a side hustle, but my purpose, my passion is now my business, and I want to do it full time. So I'm just building that brand as I go on. But I think anybody can do it if you have the drive and the motivation. I think anybody can be an entrepreneur, but it does take a mindset. It's a mindset. Like I think Lizette talked about earlier, you don't quit. You don't want to fail. You just want to keep going. And if you do fail, then you learn from that and you keep going. So
Exactly.
I'm just lucky to be able to offer life coaching services and do all the things that I love to do is giving back. It's a service. I'm providing a service, and
Yep.
so to me that's important. So that's why I did it, was to have extra money to help support my family.
I think for me, it's the money's nice when it when it comes in. The money's nice. But for me, I've just always wanted to do things my own way. And even though I am doing a corporate job, um, I do eventually want to have that freedom to do what I want, when I want, how I want. Um, and then on top of that, I want to create a legacy for myself. I want something that will build and that will create and that will expand and that people will know. Um, so right now we're just doing small, well, not small, but we're starting some small paths, but overall my end goal is to own my own bar. Um, yeah, yeah. So I want my own brick and mortar bar that I can run and have it, you know, just a place of happiness and social connection and good food, good drinks, and just create an environment of just positivity and celebration. Um, so yeah, I think overall my drive is not only the service, but also the legacy and the freedom.
I love that
Um,
legacy, freedom. I love that.
I think for me, it's also trying to figure out different ways to provide for myself and for my family. Like I said, it's really hard, being a teacher and just not being able to get. Nobody wants to hire people for like 4 weeks or 6 weeks of what we have, and for me, being a preschool teacher, we don't get paid summers, or they don't separate our paychecks into 12 months like elementaries or higher ed. But just trying to figure out ways to support myself in the long run, because it's getting harder out here in crazy. Well, I mean, Washington has, really high prices as well. So yeah, that's pretty much my
Yeah.
thing.
No, I love it. I feel like sometimes it comes from necessity, it comes from passion, it comes from, from so many different things. I would say my last question, and this is just me being a little selfish. I'm at this little tension point where it's, I guess it's selling. It's like kind of like in our hearts, it's like you just want to help, but you're like, I also got to live. So what can please shed some wisdom on like getting past that point of to get to selling and selling your creative services, particularly because I do think it's more of like creativepreneurship more so than anything, which is a little bit different because you really love the thing that you're doing and you're like, I would do it for free, it's easy, but you're like, no, but like I gotta eat too. So please just shed a little bit of wisdom on just breaking through that wall from being of service but also selling.
I
yeah.
think Yeah, I think for me, K Short, I think we've talked about this a little bit, is that it's a mindset of what you're worth, right? I mean, I was selling my services at a very small discounted rate, and then I hired a business coach that said, what are you doing? You have degrees, you have experience, you've been in the corporate entity, you're doing your own bit. No, you are worth this per hour, or you're worth the program amount that you're trying to offer. So he said, and you're going to want to find the right clientele that's going to, because you're going to make a difference in their lives, right? So from a coaching services, speaking engagement. So yeah, do really small amounts, and those have increased because you're right. I'm trying to build whatever my portfolio is. And I have testimonials to prove that my program or my services or what I'm offering is bringing value into their lives. So I think, my advice to you is don't sell yourself short, create packages, whether it's starting per hour or per rate, whatever it is, and kind of assessing for yourself what you want to make, right? Okay, in 6 months, I want to make this dollar amount. So if I'm going to do that, I'm going to need this many clients times this many packages, or starting something per month. So that would be my advice. I'm sure Lizette and Sandra have a lot more to offer, but that's just my little tidbit.
Oh yeah, no, I definitely agree with that. I mean, for the longest time when I was doing the photography, uh, I did a good year, 2 years of it for free. I was just showing up to clubs and taking photos, which at the time it was good because it was still at my starting point. So I was still figuring out, the settings, the flashes, the angles and stuff like that. So I didn't mind doing that for free for a little bit. But I do agree. You have to eventually come to a point to where you're like, okay, I know what I'm doing. I know what I'm worth. I know what I can give you, and this is what I'm going to ask you in return. And there was a point where what also kind of stopped our path in the nightclubs is because we did start upping our value. We did start upping our prices, and these clubs were just like, oh, that's way too expensive. And we're like, bro, you're paying your DJ twice this, and he just walks in with his equipment. I mean, not to down on DJs. I mean, they actually, to know your craft, to do good in your craft, it takes practice. So, you are paying them for their time and effort, and especially if they're a good DJ. That's it makes sense. But at the same time, I'm also creating something for you in a way that's going to bring you more marketing, more people. So, give me what I'm worth. I mean, these are top quality pictures with quality equipment. And not only that, I'm giving customer service because I'm walking around, I'm talking to people, smiling, being like asking them questions, trying to be like, hey, you haven't, oh, you know what, you look great in that outfit. So, I'm trying to hype them up too. So it's like you're a whole in one package, and you got to really understand what you're worth and just put it on paper. And like Candace says, the right person will take it.
None of those people that hated our prices, they have no photographers. That's another.
Exactly.
But yeah, it also sucks too, where sometimes like people will come and be like, "Hey, can I get a discount?" Not exactly like that, but they'll be like, "Can I get this for this amount?" And then we're like, "Well, no, this is what we charge." And then they're like, "Okay, well, we'll go with somebody else." And then they end up paying like 3 times the amount of what we quoted them. So it's like, come on. They expect you to give them a little bit of a leeway, but then they go to somebody they don't know, and then they're willing to pay them, a little bit more. So it's just kind of weird, but
But at that same time, you just can't take it personal because that's their
Yeah.
choice. That's their choice.
Yeah. Yeah, thank you all so much for that. I really appreciate it. I was all like, I know I'm not the only one. Everyone has to get through that little barrier. So I was like,
Oh
let's
yeah.
just put this down on paper. So when I come back to this episode and get some inspiration, I could come back here. So I appreciate that. Yeah, so let's move on and wrap this up. Let's talk about um thinking about everything that y'all have done. Y'all have been doing this. Okay, honestly, give us a number. How long have you all been in friendship and in sisterhood with each other? So I can just
16 years.
It's our sweet
16.
16. Yeah,
Oh,
it's our
how
sweet 16.
16, yeah.
sweet! I love it. I love it. Okay, so for the
Since
past,
2007.
Yep.
you're right. But ain't nobody got a degree in math. Not me. You, Candace? You?
I
No?
don't. I teach preschool
Okay.
math. It's 1 + 1 = square.
But I was like 2007 to 2023. Okay, 16
I had
years.
to count on my fingers if you didn't know.
No
And
one
if you
saw.
didn't
No one
notice me,
saw.
I looked at her.
Hey, we're all good at something, right? So
Yep.
yeah, past 16 years. If you can reflect on the past 16 years, anything you would change, anything you've been thinking about, but yeah, or overall, just like your biggest takeaway with your Gamma experience.
To me, it doesn't really feel like 16 years. I feel like every time I count the years, I'm like, really? It's been that long? Also, another thing that made me feel like it was so long was seeing how many classes after us were when we went to our reunion. That was interesting. Um, but I don't think I would change anything. I mean, even though I don't think we would have had as great of a bond if we would have been stuck with like 12 sisters. Not stuck, but like, you know what I mean? Like, had 12 sisters
There you go.
rather than just the two of us there. I don't think we would have had such a strong, I mean, we still would have, but not as, you know, butt cheek. So I don't think I would change anything. I know, both of us have taken breaks from Gamma here and there and then come back full blown and, like normal people going up and down, but I don't think I would change anything. I don't know about Lisette. Pressure.
I mean, if I could, no, I know
Just
to
kidding.
say. No, I have no regrets, no changes. I think, I was put on this path, even though I went late. There are some days where I'm like, man, I should have gone to college, straight out of college. Had I been, I would have been a founder, but no. Um, But no, I mean,
That's true.
I'm very happy, and I'm blessed in the path that I was given. And even though it's been one hell of a rocky road, um, I feel like it's made me who I am. And not only that, it's made me appreciate this organization that much more. And I feel good. When I'm talking about this organization, when I'm in this organization, I feel good. Just being surrounded by sisters, even sisters that meeting at nationals for the first time, it's just such a good feeling to be around people who are same mindset, same goals, same, aspirations. Um, maybe not the same waistlines, but I do regret not being 21 again. But no, but no, I've loved this path. I've loved this path. I've loved this journey. I love finding Sandra and not letting her go, whether she likes it or not. Um, and yeah, it's been great.
I think that's just beautiful. And so we're going to be getting ready to wrap up our lovely episode here very shortly. But we always want to close out with just this final kind of closing reflections, right? So, like, what would be like your words of wisdom or advice to any of the actives out there, any of the alum listening, anybody that might be inactive? What would be your like words of wisdom, the advice that you would want to give? And so we'll start with that, and then tell us how sisters can get connected with you. So we want to make sure that part of our episode, how they can reach out to you, get in contact with you with your business or with you just personally. So give me your best advice, your best words of wisdom. I'll go with Lizette and then Sandra, and then we will get ready to wrap up our show for today.
Oh, babe. Advice. I mean, just take it one day at a time. It's, you know, it's not that serious. It's serious, but it's not that serious. I mean, just take it one day at a time. Take a breath. If you're having moments where you're reflecting on whether this was not a good choice for you or not, or if it's just too overwhelming, you know, reach out. You do have sisters from all across the nation who will be there for you. I mean, like Sandra says, I am guilty of being very um, always putting myself out there. I mean, I had a sister who had a car accident halfway through driving through Washington, and somehow I ended up with a phone call. I immediately started calling sisters, being like, "We need somebody to get there. We need somebody to meet him at the hospital. We need somebody there." And sure enough, one of our sisters ended up showing up. So um, I love that. I love that we could just reach out whenever we need somebody. Even if it's just if you need somebody to vent, just call. I'm here. I'm available anytime. Doesn't matter.
Love it.
Yeah, I would just say, also going off of what Lisette said, but or agreeing with what she said, but using other sisters too, not being afraid to just remember you have other chapters around you. I forgot to mention, but I want to mention that also Ada chapter helped us a lot during our time too. Ada chapter and Delta chapter are only 8 minutes away, but being able to communicate with them and like talk to them and not be afraid to be like, oh, there's a chapter next to us, and having that bond, not being afraid to ask for help if you need it. Don't feel like, oh my gosh, people are gonna think I'm failing, just always ask for help. And yeah, that's pretty much it. And then what Liz had said, just take it one day at a time. And it's a fun place. It's a fun sorority. I like the friendships that I've built, and even though we don't talk every day, you always have somebody to count on, and so yeah.
I love it. And how can everybody get connected with you? So we'll start with Lizette and then Sandra.
Oh my gosh, I have way too many social medias to even list. My personal one is Troop HLD11. That's TROOP HLD11. Referencing to a marching band I did years ago.
Love
That's
that.
a whole nother story in itself.
A whole nother
Mhm.
episode.
Whole nother episode. But then there's our business, which is Simply Luminous, which is her nickname and my nickname mixed together. Bet you didn't know that.
I always wondered. I always wondered.
Love that.
Because I'm luminosa and she's
Mm.
simpatica. So in English, it's simply luminous.
I
Wow.
love that.
Yeah. So there's that.
And that's the photography
That's
one. We
probably
have the Simply Luminous Creations is the Greek gear one, and then even though our nightlife one is kind of dormant, that's Simply Luminous Photography. So everything has Simply Luminous in it.
it does.
My personal one is Simpatica 2, so just Simpatica and the number 2, and I have Facebook as well, but mostly
Yeah.
Instagram is where we have all our stuff.
I love that.
Awesome.
All right. Well, I'm sorry, Candace. I have to ask. One word. What is the secret to sisterhood? And then we can close out the show.
One word.
Okay, a
One word.
phrase, a sentence, whatever. But like, I just really want to know. 16 years. That's incredible.
I would just say being vulnerable. Vulnerable. Because I feel like between me and Sandra, we've had our best moments when we were both either vulnerable with each other, and then being able to support each other through those times. And I think that really shows what type of friendship we have. So just try being vulnerable with each other, and if it works, it works. If it doesn't, then maybe try it with somebody else.
Even though I've heard every episode and heard everybody's answers. I don't know. I guess sisterhood. I know that's kind of cliche, but really sisterhood, thinking about, what sisterhood means to everybody. It might not mean the same thing to everybody, but just being open to that word, sisterhood. I think that's what I would use.
Perfect. All right, y'all. Thank you so much for sharing all of that. Again, your story is so incredible, so amazing. I hope that we find more stories like yours. Thank you for setting the example in that way from beginning and to end, whenever that looks like. But we just want to say thank you so much for your time and for being on the show. Candace, do you have any last thoughts before we let them go?
No, this dynamic duo was amazing to interview. So thank you, ladies, for sharing your
Thank you.
sisterhood, your story, and just, being authentically you. I mean, then coming together and being amazing for the sorority and the sisterhood. So thank you. Appreciated
Yes.
this moment in time.
Yes. And
Thank
thank
you,
you again
ladies.
for
Thank you.
Thank you,
continuously
ladies, for having
serving.
us.
Yeah, for continuously
Thank you,
serving the
Sandra.
organization. Sandra, again, thank you for Northwest Regional Director. Lizette, I know you're doing all the things. I think all those things. But regardless, y'all,
Everything.
all the things, everything. All right. And we look forward to Nationals pictures, by the way. When are those coming through?
Oh, they are. I already sent them. They got
Oh,
them. They got them a while ago. And a hot
Okay,
while
anyway,
ago.
see,
We just
hey,
ain't seen them yet. We just ain't
right?
seen them yet.
Well,
Hey,
y'all, you
they're
better
in
get on, your board
they're in
about that.
transition. I know they're in
Get on your board
transition. We
about
got to
that.
give them a little
Okay.
grace, a little grace.
Well, if you haven't had the
Okay.
chance to see those pictures, make sure that you go look for them. And again, she has a great turnaround rate. Goodness gracious! But y'all, thank you so much for joining us on the United We Will
Bro,
Grow podcast. And yeah, we will talk to you all next on the next 25th. So again, Sandra, thank you so much. Lisette, thank you so much, and Candace, thank you again for being on this
thank
amazing
you.
podcast with us. All
Actually,
right,
we'll see
bye,
you on the
y'all.
round table. Bye. We'll
Oh
see you on the
Yes,
yes,
round table.
we will see
yes.
you at the round table. Love it. All right, y'all.
All right.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
everyone.
Bye.